So the next speaker of the day is a good friend, and she's a very impressive entrepreneur. I first met her when she was running Switzerland for a previous international mortgage business, and I was very impressed with the way she approached. She was super helpful, super professional, and then she told me that she was, setting up her own international finance company. I was very keen to be involved. Darya and I have struck a partnership between her firm, Hecticorn, and Viva, so that if you are interested in engaging with the Greek property market, I really encourage you to work with her because she's one of the most agile thinkers in terms of how to structure financing. She's just incredibly fast on the uptake in terms of understanding the inputs from her clients, working very, very closely and strategically with her clients, and then matching the right partner to that. And she's also, as I've gotten to know her as a person, as a friend, she synthesizes information remarkably quickly, and I've learned more about macro geopolitical. She integrates a lot, and I think it's because she comes from a unique background, and she's a very astute synthesizer of information. So I asked her to join the morning lineup to share a bit about her vision, what she's doing, why does she decided to become an entrepreneur. It was very clear that she was, why she decided to do it, and where she sees the opportunities. Would you please welcome Darya Shaterloo to the stage? Darya.
What an introduction. I can never, I feel like I can't follow from that. But thank you so much. Everything you said comes from the way you see the world. So my name is Darya Shaterloo. I am the founder and CEO of Hecticorn. Of Hecticorn. And I'm here to share my story with you. And I want you guys to take a moment back to COVID, at the start and height of COVID, where there was a lot of uncertainty, both from a career perspective, from a personal level. Nobody knew what was happening. And that was probably one of the best blessings I've had in a very long time. So for the first time in a long time as an adult, I find myself unable to have any distractions. I couldn't jump on a plane and go anywhere I wanted. I couldn't see my friends. There was nothing I could do. And so it forced me to reflect. And upon reflection, I came to the conclusion that I was unsatisfied, that something was not being met, and that something needed to change. So I reached out to 5 people I trusted. So these were 2 family offices in Switzerland. These were private bankers that I knew very well and who were very experienced. And these were investors who'd invested in multiple companies. And I went to them and I said, I'm naive, I'm young, I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to do this. I want to run my own company. And if you think it's a bad idea, tell me, and I would believe you. And they said, do you have a business plan? And I was like, do I need a business plan? And they were like, you need a business plan. So I wrote a business plan, and I ended up with 5 investors, which was incredible. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, great, you accepted 5 offers. I didn't. I thanked them. And I said, actually, I don't require an investment. What I required was confidence. So I ended up launching Hecticorn. And I want to tell you about what my company does. But before I do, I want to tell you what my core values are. And I think this is not talked about in companies a lot. We get to a point where we focus so much on the monetary value of a company that we forget actually what we stand for. And so I stand for kindness, honesty, empathy, and trust. And I think if I always keep this in mind, my business would be successful in my eyes. So actually I want to tell you what the name means. Can you put your hands up if you know what a unicorn company is? Yeah? And a decacorn? Yeah? So a hectacorn is a company that's worth 100 billion. So you're thinking, you're a startup, you're not worth that. That's correct, I'm not. But the meaning behind the name stands for the mindset. So it's the mindset of growth, it's the mindset of ambition, it's the mindset that you can do anything and everything you want to do in life, and there's nothing stopping you from doing that. So what are we? We are a asset-backed brokerage with a focus on the real estate market across three areas: UK, Europe, and America, for our ultra high net worth individuals that are based globally. So the asset classes breaks down into three levels for us. So the core of our market is the real estate market. So these are your residentials, your commercials, your developments, your bridge, and your mezzanine finance. So then your luxury assets, we finance yachts, jets, art collections, supercars, classic cars, jewelry. And then we deal with the corporate side of things as well. We do business lines for our clients. We do cryptocurrency, single stock lending. And so who are our clients? So I like to say that my clients are the hectacorns of the world. They are the billionaires, they're the royal family members, sometimes from countries that no longer exist. They are the CEOs of IPO companies. So essentially, they have that mindset of hectacorn. And I know what, again, you might be thinking, why do these people need a loan? Why does a billionaire client need a loan? And the reason is very simple. It's because they're smart. They're doubling, in some cases, their portfolio simply by splitting it and borrowing some of the money. So I guess the question is that if a billionaire thinks it's worth borrowing 15 million from me, then I think it's a good idea to know that it makes sense to be borrowing money as opposed to buying all your investments with cash. So why do clients come to us? The main reasons why clients come to us is the knowledge base that we provide, is having that, being able to look at a client's portfolio across different assets, across different states, and saying, this is where you need to release equity from. This is how you should buy this property. This is what you do with this asset. This is where you should move this asset. And that comes from our network. That comes from understanding what's happening in the market on a whole. That comes from being able to understand where foreign nationals and expats can purchase properties in. Giving you a quick example, in Switzerland, we've got the Lex law. So there's only pockets of areas that foreigners can buy in. So understanding these little situations across the globe really, really helps with our clients. And also, we are able to provide a bespoke service. And what I mean by that is that there are some lenders out there who provide us with better options and rates available than they would if you directly go to them. So there's many reasons as to why people come to us. So as I mentioned, I really do believe your network is your net worth. We have a specialist in our area. We are independent. We're not tied to any lender or institution. We're international, and we're based in the heart of Mayfair. So I guess the question becomes, why? What do you invest in now? The market at the moment is very volatile. We've had COVID. We've had Eurozone inflation up to 8.1% recently. We are seeing increases in energy and food prices. And we're seeing lots of changes due to the geopolitical situation in Russia and Ukraine. But something remains stable, and that, for me, is the real estate market. So I want you to put your hands up if you live in a property. Yeah? I imagine so. So what I want to kind of show with that is that regardless of whether you own that property or you don't, somebody owns that property. So a real estate is a necessity as well as a asset class, as well as a luxury asset. So it's always a safe investment because it would forever be required by every single person. And if anything, it just goes up in value because there's going to be more people and more demand for properties across the globe. So I want to talk to you guys very quickly about the Greek market. We were all surprised by this, were we not? Within 2 years, Greece was able to pay back his debt earlier, 2 years earlier than anybody expected. I think we all would have bet that they wouldn't have paid it. And so had you come to me 5 years ago and you said, I want to invest in the Greek market, I would just say, please don't. And now if you come to me and you say, I want to invest in the Greek market, I go, amazing. Here's some places that you can look at. And so we're really all here because of Julie's vision. Julie's vision that Greece, that Kia, is an area worth investing in. And I've come to terms with that vision, and I believe that vision now. And there's so many reasons for that. There's the proximity to Athens. There is the fact that there is infrastructure here in existence, but that it can also be built on. So I guess what I'm saying is that we believe in Greece, we believe in Kia, we believe in Julie, and we believe that there is an opportunity here where you could potentially end up, I don't want to put a figure on how much you can double your money, but I do think that this may be the next Mykonos. We'll see. We'll see how well this ages. So what's next? I told you guys about my story of how I started, and I want to tell you guys about what's happening next. So we're hosting an event in Zurich on the 22nd of June with Henley and Partners. For anybody who's not familiar with them, they're migration experts, and which goes perfectly hand in hand with what we do, because often we get clients looking to migrate from one region to another, looking at different passports. We're co-hosting an event in Zurich, end of summer, with a private bank, which I would announce closer to the date. We are also co-hosting an event in Geneva in September with the biggest developers in Switzerland. We're expanding our team in that region, so we've got 2 new staff joining us in Switzerland this month. And finally, which I'm very excited about, is we still want to open up an office in Switzerland, and we're still discussing the location in Zug, being delayed quite a lot because of COVID, because I can't travel there as and when I want to. So these are my details, but feel free to come up to me and get my details later, and I'm open to questions.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much. How many people in the audience have thought about buying something in Greece? Just given it a thought. Yeah? And how many of you would say that, based on what Darya has just shared with you, that maybe you would say, yeah, no, well, why not don't need to take out a loan, but it might make sense to do that. Anybody she persuade somewhere along the way that it might be more, yeah? Yeah. And how many of you would say that you see the Greek opportunity as some blend of, living a life that you don't need to take a holiday from, investment, and something else? Is there another angle for why you would decide to buy in Greece? Somebody wants to share. Yep.
One of the big frustrations, Greece went bankrupt, and the EU had to bail them out. And the Greek people are quite frustrated. They paid 70% of their income to taxes, and that's how they paid back the debt. It's not just Germany and Merkel and the world. They worked hard. They learned the lesson. So how much is a consideration to also take into account the hardworking Greek people when we come as foreign investors?
Yeah. No, who Who would like to? Do you want to? I mean, I think there's many different. There's some very important, influential Greek people in the audience. I wouldn't want to speak for Greece, but I think there's many different views on how the crisis started, who's responsible, and so forth. And I love that idea because my experience in Greece over the past couple of years has been incredibly smart, hardworking people with great attitudes that wanted to show that better off if they drive their own future and so forth. And I think the leadership of Mitsotakis has been, who also, as many of you know, his family homestead is here in Kia, has just been extraordinary. In terms of leading a campaign, we've been talking a lot about startups. And if you haven't watched Mitsotakis' keynote on Independence Day in May 2021, it's extraordinary. You would think that you're listening to an Elon Musk or Steve Jobs. He's talking about something good happening in Greece and getting the diaspora and his citizens, fellow citizens, to believe that something good is going to happen. And so I think it always comes back to the same thing, taking accountability and designing your future, being the architect of your destiny. I think Darya spoke well of that, how she decided to be the architect of her destiny. And I think it's fascinating and inspiring to be a part of a country that is emerging from something and not worrying so much about why it happened, but just saying, and now we chart our future. And for it to so quickly between, August 2019, I think is when Mitsotakis took over. Between then and now is a short period of time, actually, and a very different, view in under 3 years of the Greek economy. And we definitely, we'll let Aphrodite speak about this because she probably has a really good view on the real estate side. We definitely are big believers and big buyers into the opportunity in the economy.
I also just want to quickly add to what you said and what Julie said. So you talked about the hardship of the Greek people, regardless of what led them to this point of hardship. There is a way that as foreign investors you can help. And the way you help is the way we helped other areas of the world, which is you go in there, you invest, which causes more people to come in there and invest, and you end up helping the people as a ripple effect of your presence. So it's the domino effect of you going in and spending money in Kia, and that helps the economy. So whilst, this is not a charity case, you're not going and helping each individual Greek person, and you're not required to as a foreigner. But that is how you can help the people in its way of, you've done really well, you've proved yourself that you will not make this mistake again. You've now learned the hard way, like many other countries have, and now you're in a situation where we view you as actually a safe investment. And that is the difference of what happened then versus now and what we could do.
I think the difference that we see in the last 2 years, and it has nothing to do with a political, view. I'm a person that works very hard. I mind my own business, so it's not to support politically someone. Is that from 2010 until 2.5 years ago, everything was focused in taxes. Nobody looked at creating new wealth or giving a kind of motivation for investment. It was mainly who has something to tax it. So, in the sense of living in the country, you were feeling like they're stealing, what you have really in order to cover the problems of that period. During this 2.5 years, what we see is that we have at least a system, political system, a government that is trying, and I think Mitsotakis plays a role because the leader plays a role, is trying to build, again, this trust, but is mainly focused on creating new money, new wealth, either by foreign investors that trust more the country and come in, but also by building on the infrastructure and on practical things that help you build this new wealth. So this is, for me, this is the solution. It's not just to steal from what it exists, just to get it and pay off your debts. It's to build, to create the infrastructure and the basis on which you can, and the conditions to make new wealth. And I think this is a difference, and maybe this is what investors are feeling more, and they feel this trust, and this trust brings more money in the country. But it's not just to bring the money, just to give it to put it in a hole. The thing is to build something that will bring something else and something else and something else, and this brings prosperity to the investors and to the country. And I think in this sense, Greece gives this opportunity now, and it will give it for the next years. I think. Okay, tourism, real estate overall, I think it's very important, but tourism and hospitality, that I know better, I think has this opportunity, and in many ways. And there's a lot of innovation also happening in hospitality and tourism due to COVID. The way that we see the hotel accommodation has changed very much during these 2 years, and it's going to be changing. So if somebody invests in the right place, in the right idea, with the right idea, I think can have a good future with that.
Well said. Thank you. And, I think that in so many respects, really, I agree. Outstanding. Really outstanding. No, well said, and thank you for contributing that, because I think, driving, when we talk about Smart Island Challenge on Keel, what we're talking about, how do we grow the GDP? How do we bring in people that are growing the economy so that we can create, when we say circular economy, it's not just worried about how do we tax and find the money to create a new water, electricity connectivity, but how can we make money from that so that it's sustainable, and we create a place where, the best people want to contribute to the GDP of that. And I think what it feels like as an investor is that Greece is one of the most pro-capitalist, pro-entrepreneur, pro-business economies that has so much to share with the rest of Europe and parts of the world about how to create wealth and to drive people to want to, follow the entrepreneur and to come in, right? People use terms like foreign direct investment. What does that really mean? Go where the entrepreneurs and the opportunities are. And I think the people of Greece and your government have done a great job on that. Other comments here? Yes, please. Dee.
See, I think Greece is the easiest. I'm a marketing person, and I think Greece is the easiest way to get a visa for Europe. But to be honest, unless you think I'm wrong, I think it's very under market. You take Portugal. Portugal has such, everybody knows about Portugal. They know what it costs. They know what they have to go. You've got right now such a problem in the world. You've got Russians, you've got people from India, you've got people from all over the world, not just in America and Europe, that would like something like this, but it's not, honestly, you all know about it, but they don't. So I think if there could be an aggressive campaign for this golden visa, then the properties would be sold.
We intend to, and if I can... we're going to have Vicky, who showed up this morning in the beautiful magenta blouse there. She's going to be speaking today about that. She's one of the most important lawyers in Athens, but also between Germany, where she grew up and trained, the German, Greek. We're so happy that Vicky decided to join us today, because that's a really key focus. And that's why I think Darya and I decided that there was this opportunity between Hecticorn and Viva, is that maybe it's a snowball that's going, and we're trying to drive that snowball faster, and certainly the Keanaissance channel and events and so forth. But I think so many people are going to want to, the Brits for their Schengen travel, to participate in the Greek economy. I think Lauren, who's going to be on stage in just a couple of moments, was visionary in understanding that there's going to be a whole economy in the Mediterranean of people who are going to want to pitch up wherever they pitch up and work out, right? And that was just so clever of her to do that. Any other comment for Darya? Please, Blair.
I'm the only person that probably doesn't need a microphone, but I'll use it. Do you think and obviously I know you're not a guru of seeing the future, but do you think there is better returns within the islands of Greece rather than the mainland, or do you think it's all the same or the other way around?
It's not the same, but it's everywhere. Same with the UK or Edinburgh. There are pockets within specific regions where you can buy on one road and the prices are more expensive and there's better value for money, and then you can buy on the other end of the road, opposite, parallel, and house prices are cheaper or the returns are not as good. So it's understanding that on a micro scale, that's important. So it's hard to give you a, you should invest exactly here, no. But what I always say is, you know, the best time to buy is at a time where there is volatility, at a time where other people are scared. You know, we can use back the example of 2008 where all these properties came into the market and people were just, you know, the savvy investors were buying them left, right, and center. And a few months later, how high did the values go? So it's being able to spot those opportunities. It's less of an idea of we must buy in this island, but it's more of an idea of if you are buying in an island, where are you buying in that island, and what's next to you? Who's your neighbor? Is there any schools? Is there universities? Where's the hospitals? And I think with Kia, it's developed, but there is room for development, and that's what makes it attractive. Sure, you can buy in Mykonos, you can buy in Athens, but would you get the same returns? From a rental yield, you wouldn't. It's better there. From a capital growth perspective, if you are in it for the long term, then somewhere that's undeveloped would be better.
So about 15 years ago, my name is Jack Rousseau. About 15 years ago, I was here in Athens teaching at a business school, and it was all about moving the EU towards an e-commerce play, and people wanted to understand these e-commerce businesses were doing so well in the US, how could that be duplicated? And the various students, it was an MBA program, the various students who were there at night often were unemployed, but they were coming to school at night, and they would say, well, the problem with starting a business in Greece is you have to have what's called Greece money. Greece as in Greace, Greece, like to grease the palms of various bureaucrats. Has that changed at all in the last 15 years? Because they would often say, we build a business plan, but like 20% of the startup money that should be going to the equipment and the inventory and whatnot needs to go to get the bureaucrats to do things they should really do as part of their jobs. And I'm just curious, have you seen any change in that respect?
I think the way I would answer that question is just to tell you that the world 15 years ago versus now is very different. We live in a world where you don't require investment or greasing people's hands to get a deal done. You can live in Greece and your investor could be from the US or from America or from the UK. We are a global nation. Look at all of us now. Everybody is from different parts of the world, and we've all come together here today. So would there be elements of that in Greece? Potentially. Would there be elements of that in the rest of the world? Potentially. Because it's not fixed to a location, it's fixed to a person and their values and who they're like. So I don't think we'll ever get rid of that aspect where people would want bribes to do something. But this is not specific to Greece. Maybe it's a mindset from 15, 20 years ago. I don't feel it's a mindset now, and I hope it's not the mindset with any of you here. So
It's not. No, and
yeah.
you know, I would say, you know, we had some of the, I don't want to mention names, but just some of the outstanding people in the current government speak at some of our previous, and they were outrageously good in terms of, you felt you were talking to some of the best investors out of the top firms. They're so professional and so forth. I think that is well and truly history in Greece. And I know that, you know, Vicky probably has a comment here, so let's get this.
Actually, this is a very, very interesting point. I'm active now in Greece for the past 20 years, mainly involved in M&A transactions, business law. And I can tell you in 20 years, nobody has ever asked me, or at no time have I ever paid €1 to somebody to do, maybe, I don't know. I think with a smile and with, you know, just having legal requests and being somehow serious, you don't need to do any of this stuff. So I can assure you that this is not, this happens everywhere. Personally, I never had to do anything, and I have been involved in the biggest transactions in Greece the past 20 years. Also, one other point is that because of Greece is very innovative, as establishment of companies are involved. Everything is done electronically, digitally. So, you don't have anymore, all these contacts with authorities because everything is done electronically. And so I don't think that you have to fear about that.
Yeah, I agree with what you say, Vicky. In the last 2 years, especially, I mean, with the economic crisis, things did not really change so much because the focus was how to make the money from where are we going to make it to fill the holes. But the last 2 years with COVID, I think we've seen changes in the public sector that we haven't seen for years, and online, transaction, it's something that helps a lot. Okay, we're not living in a dream. I'm not saying nobody is asking nothing, or commissions, but I think things are more, if you want to choose to do a more legal way of doing business, you find the way to do it, and you don't have to, to get into dirty business to do it. It's very, there are ways to do it nicely, legally, without extreme costs, like maybe a reputation of the country is.